So I'm so annoyed because A's lawyer is she just really, really bothers me. Okay, so she keeps trying to make these points like with the officers. You weren't there to see the abuse, so you don't know that the abuse actually happened or not. It's like, no, duh. They weren't living with them. They're police officers. They came because somebody called them. And now, I mean, the suspicious thing is that there's two 911 calls. Both times, they don't claim anything happened. If abuse actually happened, and the police show up for you, when you'd be like, yay, you're here to save me. And I understand that some victims get too scared and they don't want to upset their husbands further, but they could help them. So, all the officers are saying they didn't see A having any injuries, this is the phone time where she said the phone got thrown at her face, and that she was screaming on the phone line to her friend who was in New York that stop hitting me, Johnny, stop hitting me, Johnny, blah blah blah. So A's lawyer is trying so hard to like trip up the officers and be like, so if there was a crime or there was abuse, you would have to report it, right? And they're just like, yeah. So if you saw marks on her face, you would have to report the incident, and like report what you saw, and you would have documented the crime. Yeah. What if you saw damage around the house? Would you have documented the crime? And they were like, well, if it was a crime, they would document it. If it's your own property that you broke, it's not a crime. And the officer's like, I can break my own stuff. It's not a crime. And then he even said, he's like, yelling at each other is not a crime. Like, I have arguments in my life. Like, okay, they had an argument and her face was red because she was crying about the argument. Like they're all the officers are basically saying there was no crime to have reported. And she's trying so hard to be like, you would have reported it, right? Well, yeah, they would have, but there was none. So they didn't have to report anything. And now it's the third officer, but the second 911 call was like a few minutes apart. But the officers had come to the scene the first time, left the scene, and then another 911 call happened. Like, for their plan, it was just a dumb plan. Like, yeah, let's have two different 911 calls and have the people that are calling 911 be like, I want to be anonymous, and I don't want to say, like, who it actually is or what exactly happened. We just want a very vague police report and a very vague, like, oh, the police had to show up because I was so scared, but nothing actually happened, so there's nothing to report here, nothing to see. They didn't want to file anything. None of the witnesses said who did what or what happened. I feel like it was terrible for the A's side to even interview these officers because it's not making her look good.